Hey, I'm Caleb from Caleb's Aviation. Welcome back to another installment of aviation news. There's a lot to cover today, and I apologize for the length of the video in advance. Well, let's get into it. First up, an Alaska Airlines 737 MAX has collided with some deer crossing the runway. This incident was especially unusual and shut down the airport. You can see 3 deer here in the footage. Additionally, another 737 collided with a moose at another airport. This sort of thing is not uncommon in Alaska, especially when wild animals just make their way onto the airfield, although it is kind of funny. Next up, we have more news on teen pilot Ethan Guo, who's being extradited to the United States for trials after his illegal landing in Antarctica. For those who don't know, Ethan, a teenage pilot on a mission to raise money for cancer, changed his flight plan and landed in Antarctica without permission. This was highly illegal and punishable by life in prison. After the landing, Ethan, however, and the aircraft were also stuck in Antarctica for months. This has finally been sorted out, and he is on his way back home to the United States to face trials later. His aircraft, a Cessna 182, is still stuck there, and there's further updates about that, hopefully coming soon. We wish him the best of luck, especially since he was raising money for such a noble cause. Keeping with teen pilots raising money, Byron Waller has started his round-the-world adventure. Byron, known as Teen Pilot Down Under, has taken off from Australia en route around the world to raise money for Crohn's disease, which has affected him and thousands of others worldwide. He's on a mission to cross the entire world, going all the way across the ocean. At the time of recording, he's just landed in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, flying a Sling TSI. And we wish Byron the best of luck. Also, if you're interested for more information, check out my video interviewing with Byron at Oshkosh, linked up above. Next up, another lawsuit for United Airlines. Sort of. A passenger was reportedly scammed out of more than $15,000 US. Here's the story. The passenger, who was delayed with United Airlines, which is no surprise, called up their customer service team to try to get rebooked on another flight. However, while on hold, I guess the phone call was somehow transferred to hackers. The hackers asked for his credit card information, and they successfully stole $15,000 from him. This is just another reminder never to give your credit card out over the phone. And United Airlines issued a statement that said this is not their fault, and we will just have to wait and see what happens with this. For this next section of the video, we've had several airlines retire different aircraft, so let's run through those in the coming minutes. First off, JetBlue have retired their entire fleet of Embraer 190 aircraft. The Embraer 190 first came to JetBlue in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and has helped them connect regional services for many years. However, they're being phased out and replaced with brand new Airbus A220s. So I guess if they have to pick an aircraft to replace it, at least it's an A220. Moving on, QantasLink have retired their final Dash 8 Q300 aircraft. As Qantas looks toward a more efficient fleet, the Q300 will also be retired, and eventually so will the Q400, the larger turboprop, in favor of Airbus A220 aircraft in the coming years. Also check out my friend Paul's video for a great experience flying on a Q300, linked above. Also in the headlines, Royce have retired their iconic 747-200 Testbed aircraft, and this is quite sad. Royce acquired the 747-200 all the way back in 1989 to test new aircraft engines as a flying testbed aircraft. However, it's no longer efficient, and Rolls-Royce plans to replace it. However, those plans have fallen through in recent years. The aircraft will, however, find another home at the Pima Air and Space Museum, just like General Electric's 747-100 testbed aircraft, so at least she won't be scrapped. There were plans to replace her with a 747-400 from Qantas, but those have fallen through, and there is no clear replacement yet. Also in the headlines, more incidents at Delta Airlines, with 2 major incidents occurring in the past week or so. I'm not going to get into these incidents and don't really want to discuss that on my channel, but if you're interested, check out the full video linked above by my friend Dan. Also, an American 737 MAX has had a fire and diversion in Denver. No, this is not the 737-800 you may be thinking of that also had an incident at Denver. This was fire at the landing gear as the aircraft made a quick emergency landing and the brakes likely overheated. This does appear, however, to be an isolated incident. Next up, an IT outage at Southwest has caused major disruptions. Southwest Airlines, one of the US's largest airlines by passengers carried, has been hit strong by an IT outage. canceling hundreds of flights across the country. However, they do claim the system is up and running again now, and hopefully normal operations will resume shortly. Finally, perhaps the most notable item in the headlines, the strike with Air Canada has finally stopped. Essentially, for the past couple weeks, Air Canada has essentially been grounded, as their flight attendants and flight attendant union have been on strike, refusing to work until their conditions are met. For those who are not familiar, let me give you a quick refresher. So flight attendants do their normal duties in the air, which we all know, but from the time a plane touches down at an airport to when it's being loaded with passengers and equipment, flight attendants are still working, helping check in passengers, prep the aircraft, in some cases clean it and do necessary checks of the airplane, and numerous other functions like that while the aircraft is on the ground. Basically, the flight attendants have now struck up a deal with the union and Air Canada to be paid for time on the ground and in the air, and even though 15,000 passengers have been affected by the strikes, operations are resuming back to normal, and this is a major win for the airline's flight attendants. Well, that's all the news I have for you in this video. Hope you enjoyed. If so, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll be wishing you blue skies and tailwinds. Keep an eye out for a 747 testbed video coming soon.